But the 18-month-long report will review allegations of FBI misconduct during the 2016 presidential election and the way that the Bureau handled the probe into Hillary Clinton's email server. It may also deal with leaks that came from the FBI and the Justice Department during the campaign. But now Bloomberg is reporting that, according to that report, former FBI Director James Comey deviated from procedures in his handling of the Clinton email probe. Bloomberg also claims that the report says that Comey damaged the FBI's image of impartiality, even though he wasn't motivated by political bias. So parts of that apparently being leaked to Bloomberg.
Right.
Here's Attorney General Jeff Sessions discussing that report early this morning.
It'll be a lengthy report and a careful report. It will be released soon, and I think it will help us better fix any problems that we have and reassure the American people that some of the concerns that have been raised are not true.
That's where we want to welcome in our first guest, Donald Trump Jr., son of the 45th president, who joins us via telephone. Don is, of course, the executive director of the Trump Organization. Don, thanks for being here this morning. I know you're busy. I want to jump right in with the IG report. Many conservatives feel that this report was withheld because it's being whitewashed, because it's going to maybe justify James Comey's firing, but not much else. Their concern was raised upon hearing those comments from Attorney General Jeff Sessions that it will alleviate the public's concerns. Doesn't seem like he's saying it will implicate even more people. Can I get your take on that?
You know, I haven't got a chance to review it just yet. I haven't seen it. I don't know. But, you know, I sort of feel like the IG seems a little bit like the HR department at a big corporation. Like, they make it seem like they're working for you, the employee, but they're really working for the corporation, right? So I think it's probably going to have enough in there that there's ambiguity that both sides can do the I told you so, and it doesn't necessarily clear up stuff. Although what I'm seeing so far is that it does appear that, you know, Comey, didn't follow procedure, didn't do these things, but that's no shocker. Given all of his contradictions, all of the stupidity that you've seen coming out of his mouth over the last months, and frankly, the fact that he's gone pretty damn silent. You know, from a guy that was on TV every 4 minutes for about for 2 months, all of a sudden we don't hear from him anymore. We don't hear from McCabe anymore. We don't hear from these guys. You know, there was a lot of shady stuff going on, and it's interesting with my friends in law enforcement and people that I know and see around at the places where, you know, a lot of them would gather. More, you know, former FBI agents come up to me saying, you know, they can't believe what these lawyer bureaucrats at the top, because let's make it clear, like most of these guys at the top, they've never carried a gun. They were never, door kickers. They were never guys that are doing the real work, that do have, our total respect, and that also respect the president and our stance on law enforcement. These are lawyer, bureaucrat, people who've played the D.C. game for decades. They're not the same thing. They're bad guys. They wanted to influence things with their liberal policies. They wouldn't know what to do with a guy with boots if they were there on anything. I mean, it's clueless. And it's disgrace that it's happened to a great institution like the FBI.
Yeah, it really is. But Don, let me follow up with that one point, because I've heard the same, coming out of law enforcement myself, from many agents, that they're very upset that it always seems to be a DOJ lawyer at the top of the FBI. The DOJ legal cadre at the top isn't a big organization. All of these guys know each other. Mueller, Rosenstein, Sessions to an extent as a U.S. attorney. Do you think that this is a situation of deep state simply meaning institutional bureaucrats who've worked together for decades wanting this entire thing to go away, and that's why we'll see a tepid OIG report that essentially says, okay.
Of course it is.
Right.
I mean, what else could it be? I mean, these are this is a partisan problem, right? This is on both sides. But frankly, most of these guys in these institutions, they tend to be liberal. They tend to get there, and the reality is they've all gotten very comfortable in their system. They're all friendly with everyone else. They all go to the same cocktail parties. They all talk to each other. All their friends are getting rich as lobbyists, doing all of these things, and they get to reap the benefits of that association. That's D.C. That's the definition of the swamp. That's what's been going on there for decades. No one wants someone in there who's going to challenge that authority, who's going to challenge those perks, who's going to show other regular citizens, hardworking people who've actually accomplished things in the real world, who to say, hey, maybe I should go into politics and bring some of my expertise there. They don't want that. They want people who've done absolutely nothing in the real world, who've never created a job, who've never done anything, but has been part of that cadre forever. They want that. That's their ruling class.
Yep.
That's the system that these people have established over decades. That's precisely why we had so much, just incredible momentum, because America, real hardworking Americans, rebelled against that in 2016. They see it. It's the reason D.C. and the zip codes surrounding it are the richest zip codes in the country.
Right.
They create nothing. They do nothing. All they do is peddle influence. And that's no different with these guys at the top.
Well, speaking of that shift, I want to switch gears and talk about the candidates that your father, our president, backed in the primaries earlier this week. President Trump tweeted about Katie Arrington's win against Mark Sanford in South Carolina. He wrote, "My political representatives didn't want me to get involved in the Mark Sanford primary, thinking that Sanford would easily win. But with a few hours left, I felt that Katie was such a good candidate and Sanford was so bad. I had to give it a shot. Congrats to Katie Arrington." Now, the pro-Trump Arrington then defeated Sanford, the incumbent. Taking just over half of the GOP primary vote. Sanford was a frequent critic, of course, of the president, criticizing everything from his policy to his rhetoric. Arrington told Politico that Sanford ostracized himself to the point where there will never be a seat at the table for him.
And your father also tweeted his congratulations to Corey Stewart for winning Virginia's GOP Senate primary. Trump says that Stewart will now run against a, quote, total stiff Senator Tim Kaine, who is weak on crime and borders and wants to raise taxes through the roof. Your father also warns don't underestimate Corey, a major chance of winning.
Don, one of the things that strikes me is not the support for the president. I understand why economically. It's the support among millennials for this president who's celebrating his 72nd birthday today. You've been out there with groups like Turning Point USA. You've engaged with many of this massive voting bloc. Why do you think that is? Is it his effective use of social media? Is it his economic policies? Is it all of the above?
I think it's all of the above. I mean, really, if you're the other side, what is their platform? Hate and BS isn't a political platform. Name one matrix whereby you would say, okay, this is a failure. I mean, it's not jobs, it's not the economy, it's not the stock market. It's not. There are literally no results that the other side could say, hey, our policies were working. He reversed all of those, and everything's going through the roof. I mean, across every spectrum, across every demographic. So, I think people are seeing someone who's actually effective. We see all the stuff going on with North Korea, and I see every pundit going on. I've been listening and dealing with North Korea for 30 years. Great, 30 years. Your life's work. You couldn't even get the guy in a room. It's a different approach. It's a pragmatic, real-world business approach, and that's what he's bringing to the table. And it's a booming and resounding success. So, when you see that, you see some of these, even people within the own party, they're no different. They're the establishment guys like Stanford. He'd be better off, go back to a little vacation on the Appalachian Trail. You all know what I'm talking about. and he's not relevant to fight amongst ourselves in our own party. What are they arguing over? What conservatives who are not supporting this president, and there's plenty of them, what is their logic? They don't like the delivery system sometimes.
Right.
I mean, it's the dumbest thing in the world. We have a guy that is purely result-oriented.
Well, they don't want to win. It seems like they don't want to win.
He's accomplishing everything that these guys have talked about for decades.
Right.
The difference is they don't know how to get it done. They never knew how to get it over the line. Look at DACA a couple of months ago when Schumer folded. I had 3 congressmen on the Republican side call me, hey, Don, what just happened? I go, what do you mean? They go, well, what just happened? I go, well, we won. They're like, and I quote, we don't win. I go, what are you talking about?
Right.
No, we get it to the 1-yard line and we fold because they call us a bad name. We give up. So, people are saying, oh, the Republican Party is like a cult. It's not a cult. They're just excited to see someone who has the guts. There's a better word for it, but someone who has the guts to fight for those beliefs, to take it to the end, to keep pushing, and not just fold because of the other side's marketing campaign. And that machine that's the only thing that Democrats do well. 2 things, marketing, and they stick together like none other. We will agree on 99.99% of things and manage to find a reason to split up. That's stupid. Yeah. We got to be about the wins. We got to be about the general agenda of conservatism and pushing that through. And that's what he's doing better than anyone in certainly my recent memory. And probably yours, John. You may have a year or 2 on me, but it's crazy.
maybe a couple of more there, Don.
Yeah, maybe a couple more. Yeah. I'm not the spring chicken I used to think I am anymore. So it's getting a little old.
So what do you think, real quick, we have about 30 seconds. They're talking about a Nobel Prize for the president in 2019. You think that's going to happen?
Yeah, listen, I don't think the establishment that decides those things could ever give it to him. I don't think it matters. My focus is going to be on Mount Rushmore. Like, do we add another one?
Exactly.
Do we replace one of the existing ones? I'm obviously joking because now CNN will write that I'm looking to deface Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
The reality is I don't think he cares.
Yeah.
That's not a matrix by which he, a couple of elite people in a room decide who gets Barack Obama was nominated 8 days into office for having done what?
Right.
He hadn't even decorated his room yet. It's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything for him. If he gets it, great. If he doesn't, it doesn't matter. The prize would be peace. The prize would be taking a dictatorship that for 60 years has been a total disaster and bringing them peace to the world. And I look at the other side.
Don, unfortunately, we ran.
Not at nuclear war.
Don, unfortunately, we're out of time. Donald Trump Jr., thanks so much for joining us today.
Newsmax TV. Watch us on Dish, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, Verizon Fios, or download our free app. Don't have Newsmax TV? Call your local cable provider and request Newsmax today.